This as he dedicated himself to his calling. He speaking. I saw that he was good, so I asked him, and he was very happy. The first job and he showed me how to make chapatis in our rolling pin by pressing our dough with your finger. Every day you would make chapatis rice out of wheat. So Keith became the defendant cook in the housekeeper profile. We thought the room favorite topic for the selection was there. Everyone was the series and in this part they were eager to attend. When they were knocked out, I would take his phone and speaking. I would look very briskly over the Swami's chances. And miraculously, low inside, low side walls into focus. And in the early schools, I would read. I volunteered and keep go this was usually I was always able to one go back to select you and this is position. But simply somehow due to religious attraction, senses, how it is taking up. I would say all the way to the prayer, then bring the person down, easy under the song, and the door would first open doorway, small patio, and up to his small second apartment, tiptoeing quietly so as not to wake up the neighbors. Chuck, I came into the buildings, and there were many deals painted on flags over the mailboxes. I immediately found the name AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Hamilton on a slip of torn paper, slipped into the one of the stores, arranged the person in after a few moments, the door burst loudly, and I entered through the security lock. I walked through the small garden into the rear building, and upstairs. Prabhupada held his classes for close 2 months in the privacy of his room. The same way we typed and talked to guests. To keep it was not simply a class in philosophy, but the sound we would chant with softly, clapping hands, and Swamiji would speak. The thing that brought me most was simply the sound of his voice, especially while he was chanting Sanskrit. It was like music to my ears to hear him to hear him speak with low sound. So as not to disturb the neighbors, Prabhupada would say chant song, and he asked the boys to softly that they touch. Then he would chant the prayers to the spiritual master. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean. This is the cloud goes over the forest fire. So the spiritual master distinguishes the blazing fire of morning light. The view from the deck is our chakra steam belly set entrance. them with the Swami being so appreciative. So, for Pamela Mitaki, we are reading from fourth canto, chapter 2, and chapter, fourth canto, part 2, and chapter is 25, and today's verse is 26. So please repeat after me. Please repeat after me. Vatvam kanja pala sakshi. Sorry, I wrote 27. So we're reading 27 today. Ka ete nupata yeta ekadasha mahamata etava lalana subru goyam tehi purashara ka ete nupata yeta ekadasha mahamata etava lalana subru goyam tehi purashara Aeten patayeta ekadasha mahamata etavalana shubru oyam tehi purasa. We forgot to chant Om Namo Bhagavate, so we'll do it now. We the translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Repeat after me. Ke, Gu, Te, Te, all these. Anupata follows. Ye, They, They who. Te, your. Ekadash, 11. Mahabhata, very powerful bodyguard. Gita, all of these. Pa, also. Alana, women. Shukru, all beautiful light. Ka, who. I am this. Te, yo. He, the snake. Sura, in front. Shara, going. Translation in Bhagavad. My dear Lord aside, who are those 11 strong bodyguards and who are those 10 specific servants? Who are those young women following the 10 servants? And who is the snake that is preceding you? The 10 strong servants of the mind are the 5 working senses and the 5 knowledge gathering senses. All these 10 senses work under the aegis of the mind. The mind and the 10 senses combine to become 11 strong bodyguards. The hundreds of women under the jurisdiction of the senses are addressed here as the learner. The mind works under the intelligence, and under the mind are the 10 senses. And under the 10 senses are innumerable desires to be fulfilled. All these, however, depend on the vital life force, which is here represented by the snake. As long as the vital life force is there, mind works, and under the mind, the senses work. And the senses give rise to soul, to desires. Actually, the living entity known as Ranjana is embarrassed by so much paraphernalia. All this paraphernalia simply constitutes different sources of anxiety, but one who is surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who leaves all business to him is free from such anxieties. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advises a person who has taken to the materialistic way of life, which is never permanent but always temporary, to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and leave aside all his so-called responsibilities in order to get free from all anxieties. Read the translation again. My dear Lord aside one, my dear Lord aside, who are those 11 strong bodyguards with you, and who are those 10 servants? Who are those women following the 10 servants, and who is the snake that is preceding you? Om Gyan Pramindasa Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Almitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Seva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay. So in this chapter, we're reading about the characteristics of King Ranjana. So just a little bit of background. So his Narad Muni is talking to King Prachinavas, and Narad Muni is trying to explain to the king what is the main goal of human form of life, right? And but king was so for so many years he was doing lots of activities. He was engaged in a lot of karmakanda, a lot of animal sacrifice. So Narad Muni is trying to indirectly reach to him. So based on the time, place, and circumstances. And this, as we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam in so many places, Narad Muni appeared and just to deliver the soul, either to be a king or a hunter or a little boy. So Narad Muni is always there because your devotee of the Lord is very compassionate and compassionate to deliver the conditioned soul. And this must, when Narad Muni is speaking to King Kashi Maharshi, at the same time, there's simultaneously Lord Shiva is talking to his son. We're reading about the song sung by Lord Shiva in the previous chapter. So the mercy mission is going simultaneously. So both the devotees of Lord Shiva and Lord um, Narada, they are trying to preach, indirectly preaching. So because the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has to be delivered either directly or indirectly. And the preacher speak based on the time, places, and circumstances. We have so many wonderful devotees here, preachers who are engaged in the preaching activities, and and a lot of you guys are expert in delivering the message indirectly. And in fact, a lot of us, I would say myself, I'm the result of that indirect preaching. Because if what somebody would have preached to me directly, I don't know whether I was ready to hear that, right? And preaching effort, either we are preaching in the university, the temple, we're always trying to, stand some sort of common ground so the other person you're speaking to can relate, right? Which is very important because, and that's what Narad Muni is trying to do. He's setting up some common ground so king can understand. And it is very interesting because nowadays sometimes it's very, very difficult to be direct, right? Because people, if you're trying to speak to them directly, people might get offended, and like, because, especially I've noticed, I mean, when I was in India, a lot of the people are very direct, coaches. But coming here, like I've noticed, people are very sensitive, and even just to say a small thing, like when I lived in a communal living and like ashram, and just to say a very simple thing. Sometimes you can't be direct with people, like you have to tell them like indirectly, to give them an example, and so they can understand the point. And this is a great example. There's so many allegories in Srimad Bhagavatam, and this allegory is just so the king can understand. And Narad Muni is doing this wonderful presentation, and I think he will be speaking for around 4 or 5 chapters, just to explain the point. And the point he's trying to make here, so as we heard, Puranjana is actually the living entity. And the living entity, Puranjana means someone who has been living for time immemorial. So we can't trace it, like when we inhabited this body, and we've been in so many different bodies, from, as we read in Bhagavatam, from Lord Brahma to Indra Gopa. We've been through all of these different kind of bodies, and we, in all the bodies, like the different body we take, we're just trying to be happy, trying to attain happiness and reduce our miseries. And so here Narad Muni is telling the king exactly, hey, so as you know, the goal of human life is uh, to achieve happiness and reduce miseries. And that's because that's where he's at. And King is saying that's right, that's right. But then, right after, not what he's telling, but whatever the ways you're trying to achieve that happiness and reduce miseries won't bring you the happiness you're looking for, eternal happiness. And then he is, yeah, like delivering the message with a very soft one, but he's being direct also at the same time. He's saying, because you're trying to achieve happiness by all these karma kanda activities, and superficially, we think that these activities, like either, yeah, jnana, karma, and any other way that bringing a happiness, but that happiness is not the real happiness the original soul is looking for. And so nowadays, because he's a great personality, so he, with his mystical power, he also he can do anything. He's showing King that look at this, all these animals you have killed in the animal sacrifices, once you die, they're all waiting for you, right? You were doing these sacrifices, you were thinking these things are good for you, but actually, you, you were doing it to, attain happiness. But see, a lot of miseries are waiting for you when you leave this body. And then, yeah, then he started giving this allegory how Pranjana, the body, and different, um, yeah, like in the previous verses, there's so many uh, poetic and great explanation of the body, how this body is considered, because he started speaking that Puranjana, he was bewildered, like he was just, yeah, wandering around all over the natural universe in different forms of body. Sometimes, as I mentioned, in home, sometimes became a bird, and every single body he's been to, he was happy, even though he was engaged in abominable activities, but he was thinking that he's happy. And by wandering around, he happened to see Bharatvarsha, which is, he's saying, which is India. And then he happened to go there and take birth in that land. And it's considered that, yeah, birth, anybody who takes birth in India, it's most auspicious, especially because all the arrangements for spiritual advancement are there. And then he's talking about how this body has 9 gates. And yeah, so, and then later on, like when he's wandering around, when he happened to come across a beautiful woman, and then he got bewildered by looking at this beautiful woman. So the the soul here is described as the the consciousness of the soul is described as the original, like that is the owner, and the intelligence is described as a woman, right? And so if our intelligence is not purified, then the bodyguard of the intelligence, which is acquiring senses, which are 11, and 5 knowledge gathering, and 5 we have those senses and the mind also. So if the intelligence is not purified, and then the intelligence is not doing any good for the soul, for the brain. And intelligence is also here in one of the words being described as that young woman when he came across that he was a woman and wandering and was looking for a husband. So the intelligence is considered the wife also for the soul. And the Responsibility of the wife is to help the husband, and vice versa. The responsibility of the husband is to help the wife in elevating spiritual life. And if our intelligence is pure, then our intelligence will help the real which is our soul, to come and go to closer towards Krishna by forming devotional service. Because as Nathan was pointing out, like if we are doing any other thing, like any like fruitive activities, to any other kind of like religious activities, like if we're trying to, the soul, the intelligence is trying to serve the soul, actually that is not the ultimate beneficial for the soul. Because soul as a jiva, we are always the servant of Krishna. Says Vivera, so Hare Krishna Nitya. So in any form, any body we are in, we always, our eternal position is we are the servant of Krishna. And we only find happiness when we are engaged in devotional service. And then we can only understand Krishna, as Krishna say, mentioned Bhagavad Gita, that through devotional service only I can be understood. There are no other ways, in other ways I can be understood. So, yeah, so the intelligence is how that intelligence become purified and how we come in contact with like devotional service by coming in contact with the devotee and then reading shastras regularly and engaging devotional service. So if we don't do that, then our intelligence start to bewilder. And Prabhupada has mentioned, Prabhupada has said quite a few times, the real need in the society nowadays, what we need is first class women and first class men. The first mean in other way saintly men and women whose intelligence has been purified and engaged in devotional service and delivering people. So when we're reading the books, when we're coming in contact with the devotees, when we engage in devotional service, then our intelligence become purified, and then we ultimately we feel happy. And we can also say that, like, even for practicing devotees, reading is very, very essential. And reading is like breathing in spiritual life. And that's the reason Prabhupada emphasizes so much on the books. And he wanted all the devotees to understand the books, understand sastras, and to live life according to these books he has given us. Because otherwise, I've noticed myself also sometimes in the ashram I can be busy, and if, especially last year, yeah, I had like quite a busy year having a baby and so many things, so my reading wasn't so good. It was a bit up and down, and I started to notice the difference, how my intelligence wasn't very sharp. This year, myself made a goal that no matter what's going on, I'm reading every day. Just either I've set a goal that I will be reading like minimum 15 minutes. That's just to trick the mind, because right before I was trying to do like half an hour, and sometimes at the end of the day, like had a busy day, and then I was like, oh, it's already 10 o'clock. There's no way I can do half an hour. I'm already tired. But just to trick the mind, because once I've set up like 15 minutes, and 15 minutes is just the beginning. Sometimes I read 15, sometimes 20, sometimes 30. And so far, I've been doing it every day since the beginning of this year. So very happy and so just trying to, there's a lot of friends here in Brahmacharya ashram or in single an ashram, which is very, you have a lot of time for hearing chanting, but when you move on, like yeah, especially in the household life, the it becomes a bit difficult. It can be done. Like hearing, I found is because whenever I'm doing anything, I'm always trying to listen because all goes to these wireless Bluetooth devices. Like I have one of these, and then I'm doing dishes, I'm doing anything, so I can hear. But the reading was a bit of a challenge. So, but now, so far, yeah, I've been doing it just to trick the mind because I knew my intelligence has to be faithful and chaste with the soul, as in this allegory, Nalmanis, if the intelligence which is considered five is not faithful, chaste to the husband, then there are a lot of problems. And it's really a great tragedy when either husband or wife is not faithful to one another. And I've been hearing in this verse been described actually when the intelligence is not faithful, it's like yeah, the example is given when the intelligence is considered five, and if it's not faithful, then intelligence has so many paramours. The paramours being mentioned here as the senses and the mind. And through the mind, then the intelligence trying to enjoy, trying to attain happiness in various ways. And, uh, and gradually, those paramours of the intelligence become so strong that they end up killing the husband, end up killing the soul. We have heard the term in Srimad Bhagavatam, killer of the soul. So that means someone who is not acting in a yeah, acting in a way that is beneficial to the soul. So that is the example is being given here, right? So, but if the wife is faithful and the husband is faithful, then the house become Vaikuntha, right? House become and the kids are happy, then everybody is like, yeah. And I mean, obviously there'll be some stress there, but if we have engaged in the ocean service, and I'm trying to say is that yeah, life becomes easy. And I know, like yeah, in Brahmacharya ashram is the different example can be because yeah, this husband was in Brahmacharya ashram always engaged, so that's why yeah, mine is not like yeah, because when you engage in devotional service, then the mind is peaceful. That's the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, and so when we does that, as it's ultimately this Puranjana who is inhabiting in this body is happy. Otherwise, Puranjana trying to satisfy and like in so many ways and never happy, never satisfied. Yeah, it's just a mirage, which example was given like a deer looking, for some like a yeah, thinking something that will bring the happiness. What is example? Like deer is running around the desert or looking for water. Yes, you're looking for the water and thinks that something looks like the water. He runs, keep running, but that is not the actual water. So similarly, like in Puranjana, yeah, looking for water in different ways rather than looking towards Krishna. Because also another good point here is that all these things, like Puranjana has been doing, wandering around, he always have the what do you call that? Independence. So Krishna is never trying to force anything on this living entity. So like he's making all these decisions, choices independently, and he's coming through like So it's totally up to him how he can yeah, how he can change his direction of life. And in the couple previous verses, it's been described, like a hero. Because a soul, you consider sometimes a hero, and hero can be in the material environment, like when somebody is acting under the influence of, like Maya, like trying to attain material prosperity by becoming a leader in the material society, or a businessman, or anything. And the same, he can become a hero in the spiritual field also, of becoming control of the senses and those ones. And yeah, his choice is totally his, the project. And another, the example, like, we've been, one point came to my mind that, how this body has been described, the nine gates, like this, nine gates in the body. So quite often, Puranjana, like us, we get quite upset, like, how, yeah, have this beautiful, strong body, especially when we're in the peak of youth. But in these nine holes described as, ears, nose, eyes. But funny thing is, like, when these nine holes, like, they are only good as long as, yeah, things like, because through all these holes, like, something is coming out, like, the mouth comes saliva, you know, mucus, and so many things. So when the things are coming out of those nine holes, they're actually quite horrible, right? And then, and just see the, yeah, just even this whole body is like, might be looking good, but it's just a small cut. And underneath, then that starts coming things looks quite not very, yeah, not very pretty. So the point I'm trying to make here is, like, yeah, is something which we think is, hey, like, we think all the happiness, this material is the source of all the happiness and will bring me all the happiness. But we forget about how this body can is the source of all the miseries, also all the pain and suffering also come through this body. Uh, yeah. So if our intelligence is built, the pure intelligence, and we know the what we should be doing, what we are meant for, and what is our ultimate role in life, then we or we don't get bewildered by so many temptations, and then we will remain faithful to ourselves, faithful to spiritual master, faithful to Prabhupada, and ultimately faithful to the whole society. Because when we be faithful to ourselves, ultimately we are doing good for, yeah, everyone around us. So yeah, I think I'll stop here, because these are some of my realization of some thoughts I can share. But I know this is a very, very deep topic, and yeah, there's so many different ways we can talk about it, and different ways to explain it. But I think, yeah, these are the few things I wanted to point out today. If anybody have anything to add, or any different examples or something, yeah, from this verse. Uh, yeah, that is, you're right. Yeah, quite often, even the devotees, like we go through ups and downs. Sometimes, like when we are in an ecstatic kirtan, everybody's dancing, and I feel like we're so happy, right? That's, I think, generally in the kirtan, we are the most happy, especially speaking of myself. You know, you just totally forget about what's going on outside in the outer world, but then when you go back, yeah, the normal life, you know, this reality hit, and it's like, oh, yeah, then you go down a little bit. But I think, as in this example, like Nard Muni is trying to tell King that, yeah, all those things, activities the king was doing, he was happy. It's not like King Nard Muni is not denying the fact that he wasn't happy performing those activities, but he wasn't received getting the ultimate happiness he was looking. And for us also, like we can uh, say, like when I think whenever we are trying to learn something, the beginning might be like example. I think you're trying child trying to learn how to ride a bike. The difficult it's in the early stages, but difficult. Like, you know, you might fall down a little bit and then you get better. I don't know if I can do it. But if you can keep on trying, then their time, then he can just do it even without holding the steering wheel. Like, you know, become so expert in life. So similarly, I think the happiness which we are seeking in our spiritual happiness, it is definitely there because we have seen so many examples in Acharya, we have so many devotees who have achieved that happiness. But in the material world, if you're talking materialistic, the happiness which they're looking for is a mirage. No one has ever achieved that happiness which they're looking for. But at least in the spiritual life, we have hope. If we stay on the path, if we follow the instruction, and if we keep on, doing what the sastras recommending us and our spiritual and spiritual master, then I think we can definitely get there. It's not easy because spiritual life, going back, ultimately like the goal we are aiming for is the most difficult goal. So then we have to pay the price for it. It won't come that easy for you. Yeah, as long as like we we are solid, then we can get it. That's uh, that's all I can think of. Example. But is anything you would like to add? Uh, um, solid, say that just keeping our basics right, because some the basics are in spiritual life are very, very important. And if we start forgetting our basics, which is A, B, C, D, E of spiritual life, like A stands for association, as you all know, the books, chanting, dancing, A, B, C, D, D, sorry, two Ds, dancing and deities, yeah. So if we have dancing and the deities, deities. So A stands for association, A, B for books, C for chanting, D for deities, and sorry, I think there's dancing or can be dancing or dham. Yeah, I think dham. So we've all covered. Yeah, it could be when you yeah, it could be dancing. But dancing, there's no E. X, yeah, I think go EX. Yeah. X, if we follow these, it's a good point. If we follow these basic A, B, C, D, D, then the E comes. But E won't come that easily. The E comes later. Yeah. Sometimes we get a glimpse of E in the beginning also, as I was mentioning later. But if you're looking for that E, which is lasting forever, then yeah, we have to be solid, basic. Yeah. Anybody else? Hmm. Hmm. I think the first hearing is Sravanam, Kirtan, Vaishnav. So the first thing is actually in the line we have like the hearing is the topmost one. And actually the interesting thing is I don't think that has meaning in it. Right. So the spiritual life begins with hearing. And reading is indirectly, one way is hearing because you're hearing from the Shastra. But yeah, so when you are reading it, like it sometimes, because when we're listening, because for some people, it's easy to remember or like store things in their mind when there's listening. For some people, it's easy to remember, store things when they're reading. Because in reading, you can, like, if you read something and that topic you found out that's interesting, you can go back and then try to, yeah, study it. Because that's what I think Prabhupada has emphasizes on not just reading it, studying the sastras. So when whatever you're reading, you understand. And but in listening, sometimes like when you listen, because especially if you're busy, you can miss the point, right? And because in Kali Yuga, amazing thing is like because all these books which we're reading, like when they've been originally spoken by Narada. At that time, there was no books, there was no reading. Because people would just understand by hearing once, right? But in the right now, our intelligence is not that strong. That's why we need books. Because yeah, now because we can go back and look and try to study it and try to understand the point. Because Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and it was, and Arjuna understood it just by speaking once. But if for us, talking about again myself, we have heard the same point again and again and again and again, so many times, right? But we seem to not get it very easily. And yeah, but when you're reading it, I think sometimes you can understand uh, in a better way. Am I making sense here? Yeah, please, Prabhu. That's what I can think of. But yeah. 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 So, but I was saying, because reading, I think, is not in one way non different than hearing. And yeah, it's a good point, Prabhu. There's one point I want to mention quickly. So I think, as Joshua Prabhu mentioned, you're absolutely right. Reading and hearing both are important. And as we have heard in Bhagavatam, is Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. So if we are just hearing and we are not reading, then sometimes we don't know the person who is speaking, whether he's actually speaking the Sastra. And then if we don't have the knowledge, we haven't read ourselves, we can be misled. And what I can think of, that's what happens a lot in India. Because people, quite often when you're doing books, oh, I've read Bhagavad Gita, but actually what they're saying, they've heard it. And they've heard it from the unauthorized sources. So those people, they have never read it themselves. And then they just think, oh, this is Bhagavad Gita. That's Bhagavad Gita, right? And then, yeah, then we can be easily misled. And Yeah, India is a great example. Like there's so many people, because in not many people they read shastras daily in India, but people have some sort of inclination. They like hearing from different people, and then yeah, they don't know whether this person is actually speaking their authorized knowledge or is just making it up, and then yeah, then it all becomes possible. Right. Yeah, yeah. You can add your realization also, like when you read it, when you hear it, like or you will get deeper and deeper into the pastime. Right? Yeah. So it can be relished. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Krishna. Shri Bhagavatam, Shri Prabhupada.